Today we're going to interview Josie and Marina with the Bloom Aesthetic Studio. Let's go. Hi Marina.
Julie, coming
nice to
in.
see you. Hi Josie. Julie Brett's nice to meet you. Thank you so much for meeting us. All right, we're just going to go ahead and ask a few questions, get into the details of what it's like to be a business owner.
Here we go. This is a good fun time.
Tell us a little bit about your business.
We are a skincare studio. We are located in Ivanhoe Village in Orlando. We specialize in customized experience. We are definitely driven by results, but we also really care about the whole experience from the moment our client enters to the moment they leave. I come from art background, so I specialize more in permanent makeup, but we also do Korean skincare and other good stuff.
Yeah, you do. I love it.
So my name's Josephine, and I've been an esthetician for over 20 years. So I've worked in all kinds of different places, from big hotel chains to like franchises, and then eventually plastic surgeons, and then dermatologists. I love the dermatological part of it, and so a lot of the clients that I see have really bad acne, or they're recovering from acne scarring, and we are very results driven. So we're here to create a treatment plan, not just do a facial. So yeah, that's basically what we do, and we love our clients, and we love to see results, and we just want everybody to feel comfortable.
Yeah. That's so important.
So we want the results, but we kind of dislike that cold med spa feeling. That's
Yeah. So when was it that you knew that you wanted to open your own business instead of work for another company?
I always knew I don't want to work 9 to 5. Again, I come from art background. I've studied art all my life. It was always kind of, when I feel like working, I would love to work. Never felt right having to model my time towards somebody, but there is always that doubt and fear, right? About, can I do this on my own? I was kind of pushed into, I worked for somebody for quite a long time in the same industry, and then that situation just wasn't working out anymore. And it was kind of like a universe giving me a nudge, and it was an overdue nudge because I was ready. So that was in 2018.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
For me, I guess just growing up, I felt that 9 to 5s were normal. That having benefits, medical benefits, 401ks, and all that good stuff, that was a great thing to have. So
Yeah, I was spoiled in Europe.
Yeah, when I worked for the dermatologist, that was the last place I worked for someone, and they became corporate. And then they started, when I started at that location, as estheticians, we were allowed to do a lot. We were allowed to choose the lines that we thought were effective and we wanted to sell. We were allowed to choose what kind of menu and services we wanted to offer, and the pricing based off demographics of the location. When it became corporate, everything changed. So prices went up. It didn't matter whether they matched the demographics or not. Our quotas went up, so we were forced to sell products and services that maybe the client didn't actually need.
Yeah.
And when it started to hinder, where I saw where it was going to affect my reputation as an esthetician in the industry, is when I said, okay, that's it. I can't do this anymore. And that's when I decided I'm not working for anybody that's going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So that's when I made the decision of going.
And
out
we
on my
really
own.
value honesty with our clients. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, this is our business, but at the same time, we don't believe that you have to be overly selling or,
No.
I mean, we both have the same goal. We want to see your skin transform. We want to see that you feel good when you wake up because you have permanent makeup that helps you, not feel washed out, that you can be more spontaneous. Like, we can thrive as a business while you as a client or anybody else does well too,
Yeah. We recommend things, and of course, in order to see a good result, there's certain things clients have to do, right? But we're never pushy about it. We give people opportunities, payment plans, all kinds of things, and we don't overcharge. We just want it to be affordable for everybody, and it's not fair when it's not.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone just starting their own business?
Oh, where to start?
This is something we talked about too. I've made lots of mistakes. When I decided I wanted to go out on my own, I was like, okay, I'm an esthetician. I've been in the industry 20 years or so at that point. I know what I'm doing, but I knew nothing about business. So it's one thing to see someone own a business and think that's all it is, but there's so much more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You have to know accounting and QuickBooks and inventory and ordering, what
A
else?
lot of
Marketing, social media.
A lot of those things you don't really, most of us
I
don't
didn't
like
learn.
doing them.
Oh, no.
We don't like doing it.
No.
I didn't know how to do it. So
Especially if you're somebody that works with your hands, that works with people. That's not a natural thing to just sit and do the back end of the
Right.
business.
So advice would be do a little bit of research. I'm not saying you have to go to college and have a business degree, but maybe a short class or something that'll give you some sort of a foundation, at least so you know what you're getting into. And then if you have the money to hire somebody to do those things, great. You know, starting off, I didn't have the money to do those things, so I had to try to do it myself. And you know, well, we're here to give services. We don't have, you know, if we're seeing 5-6 clients a day, what time in the day do we have for social media when we get home? I don't have small children, but Marina does, and so she has to have family time, and so that ends up becoming a problem where we would have to, you know, where we've hired people to do certain
Definitely, when you get to the point where you feel like you need somebody else to help you with your business, don't be afraid to spend a little money because it's so worth it.
Every penny you spend for somebody else to do it, and that frees up your time, that frees up your mental space. It, you know, it helps you work better with your customers because you're not worried about all that in the background. So
the delegating is huge.
Yeah.
It is so hard as a business owner to lose control.
Yes,
Allow somebody
yes.
to do
and
it,
trust people
and
to
trust
do
that
it.
they do it, and trust that they're going to do it the way that you would do it.
Yes.
Correct.
You know?
And then if you're a little bit of a control freak, as some of us, I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at myself. It's really hard. I mean, our businesses are babies, right? We bet it on ourselves, and it's something that represents us, and we don't want somebody to go in and make it, misrepresent us anywhere.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Reviews, it's really hard to undo reviews.
Yeah.
You can't, right?
Yeah.
On Google,
No,
you
you
can't
can't.
undo them.
Yeah.
And we have 5 stars.
Yay!
So
As you deserve it. Thank you. How do you deal with fear and doubt?
for me, I had a child very, very early. And I was forced to become an adult and have responsibilities that somebody that age doesn't have. And the only thing that, so there was a lot of fear and a lot of doubt, right? Can I take care of a baby? Can I take care of myself and somebody else? You know, this is a whole other person you have to. So diving into it that way, I had no choice. And so I think that the same fears when it comes to business, fears and doubts, usually it's anxiety and fear of the future. So the way I deal with it is you deal with it what's here right now. Don't worry. You have to have some sort of a roadmap, right? But you can't focus your worry and your fears on the mistakes that you could possibly make when you haven't made them yet and you might not. Right. So just keep focused on the right now. Do what you have to do. Definitely have a plan and try to stick to that as much as you can. But not to worry too much into the future. And if you make a mistake, you can correct it.
Mistakes are good.
Yeah,
you actually learn from them. When we don't make mistakes and everything goes smooth, then you find yourself later like being shaken too much by a little mistake or little bump in the road because you're so used to everything going smooth. I would say what helps me, I do like to identify where my weaknesses are, because I know a moment when I'm good at something or when I feel that I can do something, but I also know when I don't feel like what I'm performing, I'm at my best. What really helps me is that I do take that course or I do take that extra time to practice. That at that point when I feel I'm comfortable, I don't doubt, I have not that much fear about that. It is hard when you're running your own business because, as we said before, you're doubting on yourself. It's much more harder to take decisions because it's all on you and nobody else.
You can't point the finger to anybody but yourself.
There
and
is
that's harder to take, right? So
and you're betting that your abilities are going to be good enough, especially we perform services, that what I'm going to do on somebody's face is going to be good enough, that they're going to be happy, that and
they represent us. Her work is out there representing Marina, so it has to be good.
And of course, take time for yourself. We as women tend to just go. And then especially if we have smaller children. So there's really no time when you're just like not doing anything. Even when we're not doing anything, I'm like answering messages, sending emails. I would definitely say schedule that massage, schedule that facial for you. Just if you don't put it in the calendar, it will not happen. And then you're just gonna feel like the burnout is in, it's real, and everything is falling apart.
It will fall apart if we fall apart.
Yeah.
And mentally we fall apart.
Yeah, you are the business.
Emotionally we fall apart. That's it. Everything else is gonna crumble.
Not that we are really good at this, but this is our advice.
But we're learning every day. We try.
Do you feel it's possible to avoid plastic surgery?
I'll answer this first. I worked for a plastic surgeon for like 3.5 years.
Okay.
There are many people who get plastic surgery who, in my opinion, they're not ready. They're not at the age or at the stage where I think they should go under the knife, nor are they healthy enough to go under the knife.
That's a biggie.
Because you can have all the money in the world and you can have all the support of all the people around you, but if your body's not going to cooperate in healing, then that's a problem. I think that for the right candidate, yes, plastic surgery is a good thing. I don't want to paint a bad picture because it helps many, many people. And some people are, because of underlying conditions or mistreating their skin or their body very heavily at some point in their life, and then maybe changing that, right? Maybe they did become healthy or they lost that weight or whatever. The body needs time. If you do that too fast, the skin and the body doesn't have time to move with you. And so all that just stays. It hangs. You lose elasticity, collagen, all kinds of things. And there is we can do treatments that will help, but it'll be very little at that point because they're way too far. So if they're way too far and they're healthy and everything is right, I think plastic surgery is great. Otherwise, I think it could be prevented for sure.
It used to be that women don't think about their skin until they start seeing lines. So that's like what, mid-50s? Well, for the lucky ones, mid-50s. But even before then, that's why I corrected myself. But really, most of my clients tell me, oh, my mom just used Pond's cream. You know, there really wasn't anything until you come to the point where you're like, oh, you look at yourself. And facials were more of a luxury. And not also anything preventative or corrective. It was more of just go relax and get your pampered and get your skin cleansed really well, right? So women would get to the point where reversing it in any other way than plastic surgery is really not possible. These days, thankfully, trends are much different. Women start thinking about their skincare much earlier, some even too early, like 17-year-olds on Instagram that do all kinds of crazy stuff. But if you start early enough to do very little things, we're not talking about doing lasers or peels, we're talking about hydrate your skin, put nutrients in your skin, protect your skin, that's a big one. Your skin will be able to function in a really, really good way where it just doesn't degrade and doesn't age as quickly. If there is all that preventative work, you definitely can avoid plastic surgery. So every once in a while, a little bit of a corrective treatments, really good home care regimen. Consistency, and just being mindful about the routines with your skin, all of that really does help. Women don't believe in a lot of this. I remember reading there was like 80% of women don't believe that what they're buying is going to actually help them. They're just buying it because it makes them feel like they're doing something. That's like an older thing that I read. That's not what it is anymore. We really can correct a lot of things and we can prevent majority of the things.
That's interesting you say that because I feel that that's how I used to feel.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the whole Rodan and Fields, you know, okay, well, at least I feel like I'm doing, I have no idea what it's really doing for me, but at least I can feel that I'm doing something to take care of myself.
You don't feel guilty that you're doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly, right? But in all reality, I don't even know if that was really good to do because I think, you know, anyway. So when I came to see you for the first time, you explained it to me of, you know, the Korean skincare products and which products are better than others and really the whole preventative of, you know, Botox and plastic surgery. And so you had me there. I'm like, okay, she knows what she's talking about. She wants to be able to prevent having to, you know, do anything with needles or, you know, maybe microneedling, but, you know, do anything with needles or you know, the knife, you know, and I'm all about it, you know, and you both look amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
So obviously what you're doing is working, you know, and I just want to be like you.
We want to be like you too.
We can be like each other.
Yay!
Yeah, so I think that's great. And then talked about Botox. I know we didn't really kind of discuss this, but like, what do you guys feel about Botox? Do you feel like it is something that should be prevented, or do you think that that's just something that maybe you want to do it earlier to prevent the lines? I mean, just what do you think?
So
about
we
that?
actually come from quite a different, like I've never done it until like last year, and you've been doing it for a while because she was with a derm and it was a little bit more accessible to her. I think whatever is good for you, boo, you do it. I definitely don't think that you should do it too early. If there is lines that are forming and they're there even when you're not moving your face and they're really bothering you, going before they become too deep and getting very small amounts of units is going to be much better route than waiting until they're really bad and you already have emotions about them. And you know, I also do think that there is women that overly do it way too often. As long as like as soon as they see the movement, they. I'm not a huge fan of that too, but again, that's just my opinion. The most important is that you're happy in your skin.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a few years now, and I think that's what's kept me looking better than I would have.
No,
I
it's
used
a
to
great
get
tool.
These deep number 11 lines here, and so it has to do with facial muscles, right?
Yeah.
If you have really strong, especially men, they have really strong facial muscles when they make all kinds of movements and facial expressions, and they think of a paper. And then this is the muscle, right? You're moving that paper in and out. When you let it go, what's going to happen to the paper? It's going to stay crinkled. That's your skin.
Yeah.
So if you have really strong facial muscles and you're constantly doing that to the paper, it's going to stay like an accordion, and that's your skin.
Yeah.
To avoid that, little bit of Botox will help that muscle not be as strong, and so you can't make as much movement, and so that paper, which is your skin, is not going to crease even when you're at rest. So when you see that when you're not doing any facial movement, you have wrinkles, if it bothers you, then that's when you would get just a little bit of Botox just to stop that muscle from being as strong. But again, you want to look natural, so you don't want to, you know, people get addicted to this stuff, and then that's when they start to look a little funky, and a lot don't look very natural, especially with fillers. Botox not as much, other than they're frozen. But
fillers are, I'm not a.
But fillers is, I had a bad experience with fillers. I got some in my tear troughs because I had lost a lot of weight. My eyes seemed to sink in, and my dark circles were really horrible, and had a lot of space, like indentation there, and I had some filler in my tear trough, you know, and the doctor overfilled on one side, and at the moment looked fine. Through the years, because they're hydrophilic, they tend to grab water and they get bigger. And so I looked, I mean, I can show you a picture. I looked like somebody punched me in the eye. It was really bad. And then I had to have somebody correct that. So you just be mindful of where you're going, what you're doing, how much they're doing. I think in little bits, everything is okay in moderation.
All those celebrities that we see these days, I know Madonna was like, everybody was critiquing her recently. It's the filler. That's filler. It's really not Botox.
Yeah, Botox is not what makes you look all
filler, you can. It's such a fine line between looking nice and young and plumpy to just looking not normal. I do like Sculptra, which is the type of a filler that is not really a filler. It's more of like a biostimulator. It stimulates your skin to produce more collagen, more elastin. So it's really your own skin kind of thickening itself. We also have some topicals that we use in treatment room and sell with polyl-lactic acid, which is the main ingredient of Sculptra. That's a different thing. Again, everything in moderation, right?
Everything in moderation. And you just want to always stick to looking as natural as you can without looking as old as you can. And there's a very fine line. So also is some people go to doctors and say, okay, well, what's wrong with me? They even come to us and say, well, you tell me what's wrong with me.
We don't want to change
I don't know.
you.
They say I don't know anything. So I would say don't go to a doctor and say you don't know anything and put everything into their hands.
Because they see you differently than how you see yourself.
We see in some people, they don't see themselves, or what. Let's say, you know, they come to me and say, "What's wrong with me?" And let's just say I don't answer that question anymore. I let them answer first. But if I were to answer that question, I said, "Well, you have this, you know, sun damage and pigmentation." That person might say, "What?
Never noticed.
I've never even seen that." And then I'm insulting the person too. So there's a fine line. You have to know what you want, And if you don't know what you want with fillers or Botox, definitely show pictures of what you don't want to the provider.
Yeah.
So that you don't end up looking like those pictures.
Yeah, because they
So
don't know, right? Yeah.
they don't know, but they do know what they don't want.
Yeah.
So definitely at least go with what
And
you
for
don't want.
skincare, a lot of women come and they only thing they see is lines. But first thing I see is texture, is maybe redness and inflammation, or how stressed out that skin is. So if I pull out and I say, oh, well, I see redness and I see pigmentation and I see that your skin barrier is not really good, they didn't see any of that. But once we correct all of those things, the lines don't really appear as once the skin is healthy, hydrated, it has a good protective layer on top, how it should have, everything appears better. So those little lines, you know, sometimes we also just deserve them, you know, like we earned them over years. It's really not the biggest,
They mistreat their skin so much they end up with lines. But if you fix the other things, the lines will dissipate a little bit.
That's good.
And they won't even matter that much because everything looks glowy and healthy.
So why do you love the Korean products so much?
So I worked first, of course, with majority of the products that I worked with were made in USA. I like that Koreans are a lot more concentrated on nourishing the skin, hydrating the skin, and giving skin all the possible nutrients to prevent and to protect itself. So the idea is we don't have to attack the skin with all kinds of peels, acids, to constantly ask it to peel, to continuously push it, because most of the anti-aging is get your skin to peel and get your skin to produce more skin cells, because that's what slows down as we age. That's why we get lines, that's why the skin gets that dull look, because the top layer of the skin is dead, but yet it's not shedding. The way here in Western skincare, we do that by retinols and peels, which are both very abrasive. It's not something that, it makes you more sensitive to everything, especially light and sun. We live in Florida. No matter what kind of a life you live, you are going to be exposed to sun all the time. I mean, we have a lot of clients that work in offices, but still, we're like, no, sunblock needs to be part of your routine, no matter what. Even if you're just walking to the car, you're driving 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and there's always a difference between a driver's side and the other side when we look at somebody's skin. I've seen amazing results while just nourishing the skin. That, for me, is just incredible. So really think outside of the box. They introduce ingredients that are not found here, and they're mainly from the nature. Secrets.
Secrets, hacks for the business side of things.
Yeast from fermented rice, or snail mucin, that is one of the most common ingredients. Like people know about this ingredient the most. It is very calming, very hydrating. Very antibacterial, antifungal, so it helps with everything. It helps with anti-aging, it helps with acne. Another thing is Korean market is huge. Korean women are obsessed with their skin.
Well, I'll come from a different aspect. I came from plastic surgery and dermatology, where we go in with big guns, right? We go in blazing with Accutane and clindamycin and doxycycline and retin-A and epiduo, benzoyl peroxide, all these really harsh, strong chemicals that over time, they might help with the acne, but they destroy the skin's barrier. And so when I met Marina and I was introduced to Korean skincare, that was my first time, and I never doubted it, but I didn't know how to implement it.
I did doubt it in the beginning, to be honest.
I didn't, because
there's all this like frou-frou stuff, like snail mucin, like what, spider amino acids from spider web. It just all sounded like.
But she had a great clientele, and it was working, so I knew it was working. That I wasn't doubting that, but I was wondering how I'm going to transition, right? Because I had this mind frame of treat it as a dermatologist would treat it. Right. And a lot of my clients today they're referred by the dermatologist that I worked for. And so I have a lot of people that come and they're all on these medications. And some of them I can't even work on. I can't even do a facial because their skin barrier is so messed up that they're like red and inflamed. And so I've started to tell them, my derms will be mad. I've started to tell them, stop all of your, other than the antibiotics, I say stop everything that's topical for 2 weeks. Just give me 2 weeks. Stop it all, and I want to see you in 2 weeks.
And the change.
And
oh
the
my
change
God.
is incredible.
Wow.
And then I said, then I put them on a Korean regimen where it's just nutrition and peptides and amino acids and just
inflammation,
good stuff,
anti-inflammatory stuff.
anti-inflammatory.
Really, inflammation is the base of so much, not just acne.
And then now, sometimes they can avoid getting back on that retinol, or they can avoid getting back on these harsh things. They can even avoid some of the doxycycline and antibiotics that are messing with their liver and their stomach and giving them stomach aches, these young kids.
Yeah.
So I see it really works. And, I'm not saying don't do what your derm says, or don't use anything that the derm gives you, but I think that it's a good combination of the two.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you don't have to be as aggressive as Western medicine and they do here in the US.
Yeah.
And so if you're nice to your skin, it will be happy. If you're harsh to your skin, it will be angry. It's just common sense, but we don't see it that way.
Yeah, especially when it gets so red and inflamed. You think, oh, I need to dry it out. I need to dry it out.
Like, I need to do more. Because it's
and most of the
they
time
think more.
Yeah.
No. Like more is not better when it comes to your skin. Less is better.
And as I said, inflammation is really the source of so much. Even when we age and our cells are dying, they always go through an inflammatory stage. If we get that inflammation under control, your cells are gonna live much longer, and they're just not gonna be dead sitting on top of your skin.
Communicating properly to each other, and everything just functions in a happy environment. Can you tell we love skin?
I've learned so much today. So
Good.
And I'm all about, every time I put my Korean skin product, I'm like, the snails are going to get me today. I'm like, it feels so good.
Disclaimer, they don't hurt the snails.
I know. Oh,
Okay,
there you
yes.
go. I didn't want to know.
No snails were hurt while doing this video.
So lastly, any secrets that you would like to share to any future business owners?
I would say trust your gut.
That's a good one.
Be prepared, and it's okay to fail. It's okay. You fail, you recognize it, you fix it, you move on, and you learn from it. The world is not coming to an end because you made a mistake.
Yeah. Definitely, you have to trust yourself. That's the number one secret. It sounds a little cliche, but if you don't trust that decision that you're making, you're just gonna go around and around. And another thing is, especially in our industry, a lot of women start and then straight out of school or straight after working for 6 months or a year in a spa, they think, oh, I'm gonna go by myself. I personally would never recommend going straight after school and opening your own business, because you're just going to get overwhelmed with everything while you're trying to learn how to actually perform service. You're learning also how to do business. My advice would be just find a job somewhere and learn about the business too, if you can, from those owners. Kind of soak up everything, because what you see is just 30% of what you're actually going to be doing when you're running your own business. Another thing is, you're not going to be making that much more money just because business is yours. A lot of women think, I just need to, I'm going to keep all this money. Why am I giving her this money? You're going to be giving that money to your business. Not to your boss, but to your business.
We definitely don't keep everything that we
make. But that's the way to grow. You really have to spend the money to make the money. So reinvesting also, you gotta reinvest into the business. You can't just be taking the money out of the business and then hope that it's gonna function properly without you actually putting money into it.
Another thing I want to add is treat people the way you want to be treated, because it'll come back and haunt you, number one. But number two, it's just the right thing to do. It's just the right thing to do. Don't tell somebody they need something if they don't need it. Don't push anything on somebody if they can't afford it. Just really help people as much as you can.
Where can we find you? Online?
Our website is bloomaestheticstudio.com. We are also on Instagram, Bloom Aesthetic Studio. We're on Facebook, again, Bloom Aesthetic Studio. Very easy to find us. So we do have our personal pages, but everything is all linked together. Mine is more of a permanent makeup pictures. Hers is more skincare, and then Bloom is kind of our joint. We also do have an online booking page where you can see all the services we offer and the pricing. And that is all linked on our website.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome. Thank you.